Well, hey everybody. I hope we all enjoyed our long weekend and got some time to relax or get caught up or do fun things. I wanted to talk about what we're doing this week and also the next 2 weeks a little bit. First of all, remember that our poetry essay is due on the 20th. So hopefully you are organizing some thoughts about that. Getting started on it. The poetry essay assignment sheet is in the Module 1 folder. There's a link where you can download the file, or I've pasted the whole thing in there. We're going to be looking at Natalie Diaz's poems from her collection, and so underneath that is a Diaz packet for essay. It's uploaded as a PDF, and you've got a lot of flexibility on what you write about regarding her poems. So don't wait till the last minute. We've got 17-ish days. So while you're working on that, if you have questions, if you want me to look at the essay as you're working on it, for some feedback and guidance, that's what I'm here for. So I'll help if you ask. If you don't ask, I just assume everything's going along fine. As far as blog 2, I'm going to go in and grade that. We have a poetry quiz due this Friday the 6th. I have to upload that. The quiz should be opened by tomorrow. I wanted to say something about blog 3. I think a lot of times when we analytically dissect, especially poetry, we kill it. And a lot of people get to adulthood hating poetry because the way that their high school and middle school English teachers have dissected it and taken the living energy out of it. And that's not at all what I want to do in this class. I do want us in this week to look at the rhythm in these lines. So if we've read Shakespeare, and we've read, sonnets and these kinds of older, more traditional forms of poetry, that may not be our style. That's not my favorite type of poetry to read, and I certainly don't write those. But this week I want us to kind of fine-tune our ear when we're listening to the rhythm of words, because the sound of words as we're saying them, the sound of words as we're listening to them, those can have an effect. And a poem is just an experience for a reader. The poet is putting forth some kind of experience, whether you're going to go walking with me through the soybean fields and we're going to think about my dead mother, or you and I are going to be sitting in traffic and ponder the joy of oxygen. Whatever it is, poetry offers us an experience and to see the world a little bit differently, which is one reason why I love it. And so I want us to, in this blog 3, there's 3 videos, that are about rhythm and meter in poetry. This isn't anything we necessarily need to memorize. For our quiz on poetry terminology this Friday, of open notes, have the internet and your notes and your books or whatever, they're available, that's fine. But I want us to look at the different ways that we can build rhythm into a poem. I know this isn't a creative writing class, but if we see how these writers are doing it and the effects it has on us as readers, we can turn around and make sense out of the choices these poets have made. So these links talk about a poetic foot, a measurement of rhythm, and it gives these kind of strange words, some of them that you may have heard about: an iamb, a trochee, a spondee, a dactyl, and an anapest are the main 5. I gave an assignment to a group of high school writers to try to think of words about food that had that rhythm. And this is a good way to try to just see the rhythm of everyday words, taken out of, worrying about it being Shakespeare or something. So like an iamb is the stressed, unstressed, right? So like we had a lot of trouble thinking of English words that were iambs by themselves. The most we could think of was like souffle where it's unstressed and then stressed, or fondue. It can be hard to hear the rhythm and of words, especially because it can also vary by accent and dialect. The word guitar, I say it as an I am, or an I am, unstressed, stressed, guitar. My husband, who's Appalachian, says it as a trochee with the first syllable stressed. He says guitar. I say guitar, he says guitar. So one word in the mouth of a different person can have a different poetic meter or different stress on it. So all of this is kind of flexible, and that makes it complicated sometimes to hear what's accented and what's not, and also to try to figure out, like, is this iambic pentameter, is this trochaic tetrameter, or whatever it is. So don't stress. The longer you practice this, the easier it gets. So iambs are words like souffle, fondue, the way I say guitar. Trochees are the stressed, unstressed, the way my husband says guitar. Most foods that we could think of in the English language are trochees. Water, peanut. They've got that accent on the first syllable. We don't say water, right? Spondies are ones that it's stress, and these aren't as common, but it's something like hot dog. We don't say hot dog. It's usually equal stress. Or ice cream. They're kind of the same weight. The dactyls and the anapaests are when we're starting to get 3 beats in one unit. So the dactyl is stressed and then 2 unstressed, like the word poetry. We don't say poetry or poetry, right? So it's stressed, un. And so the words for food that we could think of was like canapé or applesauce. And then the anapaests are un, and then stressed. So I couldn't find my notes, and then this morning I couldn't think of an anapaest food where it's unstressed, stressed, like understand. So if you can think of an anapaest food, macaroon. Yeah, macaroon is an anapaest. Okay, you get the point. And how we put these things together, like the word apple is a trochee, stressed, unstressed. But what words we put in front of it or after it, we can put the word apple in 4 iambs. So like, the applesauce is super great, right? Those are 4 iambs. So iambic tetrameter. Not that we need to memorize that. But if I take the off and say applesauce is super awesome, those are 4 trochees because we start with apple. We start with the stress. So it's fun sometimes to tap this out. If you're stuck in traffic, if you're in line at Walmart, try to figure out people's names. Do you know more people with iambic names or trochaic names? And so that's what I wanted us to just practice, refining our ear, because poetry is made to be read aloud. So it's good to read it aloud, hear the original readers read it aloud, and I might post some links for later in this week of poets reading their work. We had Andrea Gibson's work, and we can look at some others. But so I want you for blog 3 is to try to practice writing just a couple lines in a meter. So say, okay, I'm going to take the classic iambic pentameter, pent being 5. So 5 iambic feet. And I'm going to try to write a sentence like, the applesauce is super great to me. It can be a ridiculous sentence. It doesn't matter. We're not trying to write poetry. We're just trying to write a line in this rhythm. And so post it to your blog. Remember that the blog post still needs to be 200 words. So you're going to write your couple sentences, and then you're probably going to have to write a paragraph just describing what this process was like. Was it easy for you to hear the stresses and the unstressed? Were there particular words that you had trouble deciding? I'm not sure if this is a spondee or a trochee. just write about your experience there. Like I said, the poetry quiz will be posted in about a day. Make sure to ask any questions that you have. Get working on that poetry essay. Did I say the poetry essay earlier? The poetry quiz is this Friday. The poetry essay is Friday the 20th, if I said that wrong. Make sure to ask for whatever help you need, and have a good day.